So I just got back from seeing the first hour of James Cameron's Avatar.
Only the first hour?
Only the first hour because
Just
the movie
the
theater
first
did
hour?
have an emergency
Oh,
of some
no.
sort.
Were
and
you at a
so
premiere?
They did kick us out.
People were too excited
Oh,
about James
no.
Cameron's Avatar 2, The Way of Water.
Jim Cameron's
And there is a
Avatar.
riot,
Okay,
right?
I will say, guys, it's pretty
The Way of Water.
good. Is there stuff they could cut out? 100%. But it's a good movie.
Okay,
It's
hang on.
good.
This is an intervention.
For me?
No. This is an intervention
I've
for
never seen it.
Hollywood. Because we have
Okay.
that kind of sway now.
Yeah. Because we are podcasters.
Because
So
we are
therefore
podcasters.
Yeah.
So hey, Jim, come here, buddy. I don't have 3 hours to sit in a movie theater, dog. I don't have 3 hours to
Yeah,
watch your
it's not the
Dances with
working man-
Wolves
I will
ripoff
say
part 2.
It is not the working man's movie. I don't think so. I don't know,
And
man.
you know what? I think
can't
that
bring your
goes for
kids-
Hollywood as a whole. Listen, I'm not racist anymore because I finally saw Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Well.
And
Doesn't matter what they say, doesn't matter what they do. We're gonna do it anyway, 'cause you and me, we got it and we're gonna break through. No one's gonna keep us down. It doesn't matter if we fall. Not afraid to say it loud, 'cause you and me, we got it and we're gonna have it.
Hello and welcome to the... Whoa! What's this? This is a portal? Who are you?
I am O'Neill Prime. I am here from the future to bring you podcasts.
Whoa! What can you tell us about the future?
Podcasts have taken over the entire mediascape. Everything is podcasts.
Who are those two behind you? Can they introduce themselves on the podcast?
I'm Tyler J. Prime Karkara.
Tyler Jane Prime Karkara? Whoa! You put the prime in the middle of your name?
I understand it's a bit derivative, but I wanted to change the system, man.
Oh, okay, interesting. And who are you?
And I'm Olivia Fumiati Prime 2.0.
Okay. So is everybody like sponsored by Amazon?
Yes, we're all from Daddy Bezos. He bought all podcasts.
Whoa!
Get 2-day shipping.
Except
So,
for,
like, what else-
Except for the podcasts no one talks about. Those ones are owned by Elon.
Oh, okay, interesting. What else is going on in the future? Olivia Prime, you sounded like a little congested. What's up with you?
There's another pandemic.
Another
We're on
one?
COVID.
Jesus Christ!
We got to the funny number. It's COVID-69.
Oh, well, at least it's COVID-69. That's pretty good. All right, I'm enjoying. I like that.
They
What
call
else
it
is going on?
COVID-69 because the blood comes out of both ends.
Oh, okay, interesting.
They've just been shortening it and calling it nice.
Oh, okay, you call it pandemic nice. Okay, I love that. What else is going on?
Judge Judy is on its 30th season.
30th season. I feel like they went
good
along
for
a little
her.
longer.
I know.
They did
Olivia.
the reboot.
Olivia and I have been a little quiet, but future versions of ourselves. Why are you coming back in time and interrupting the recording of this podcast?
We need to take you to the future. I know it usually works the other way where you go into the past, but we actually need to take you guys to the future because you've been untainted by Daddy Bezos' nanobites. I'm sorry, but I'm here to stop you. I'm on the take.
Oh no! Look out! Tyler J. Prime Karkara has a podcast gun.
Oh God!
It's just a
Please,
weird
God, don't
microphone.
shoot!
Everybody look out, dogs!
My
Whoa!
future kids! No, please, our future
Oh,
kids.
all right. Well, it looks like we got to do a podcast to save the future, guys. It seems like this is our only hope.
Oh God, I hope my idea is good this week.
All right. Well,
Mine is.
they just got sucked into the time hole. All right. Well, we only have an hour or an hour and a half, depending on how long this episode goes, to make the podcast future happen. So, all right. I guess let's do it. I'm O'Neill Henry, podcast savior.
I'm Tyler J. Karkara, podcasts Judas.
And I'm Olivia Fumiati, podcast Mary Magdalene.
Okay, all right. And it's time
Let's get over choosing.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Choosing. We're just getting right into it this week. Future. Okay, very good.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
It's
Year.
future,
Oh, that's
it's
right. It is the new year. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to ask how my sperm count's doing in the future. I guess we'll never know.
You can ask him later, I'm sure. In an hour.
I guess
in
the
an hour.
future is now. Got to work on that now. Oh, fuck me. All right. I guess I'm
Well,
going
yeah.
first. Baby boy. All right. Starting off.
Baby.
Wheel is really
Hi,
edging
Drew
me this
O'Neill.
week.
Yeah, it is. All right. So I got this idea somewhat from Reddit, but not really. It was a person on Reddit pitching a much worse podcast idea. And then I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about this. What if I do a good podcast from this idea? So here's my idea. The future is now, and everybody knows what the future entails. That's right. Cryptocurrency. We're coming back, baby. Crypto cryptids part 2. Now, I think role playing and games and sort of all that stuff, I think video games will take up a much bigger space in the future. It's been a constant growing machine. And so I think this is a sort of space to play it. Now, before we get into this particular pitch will require a certain wide breadth of media knowledge. Before we get into this, have either of you seen or at least watched an episode of Midnight Gospel?
Yeah, I've seen the whole
Yes.
thing.
I love
Okay.
that show.
Great show.
So you guys understand like the format of Midnight Gospel as it
Is that
pertains to
someone
being
animated
a podcast.
an episode at like 7
Yes,
episodes of
exactly.
podcast
Yes, but
and
the
made it a
thing
show.
they're talking about is not necessarily what is happening around them, but they sometimes interact with happening around them.
Yeah.
And then you guys are familiar with role playing games, I'm assuming, right? There's a wide breadth of
No, what is
Yeah,
that?
could you
what is that,
could you
what does that
explain that one?
entail?
I don't actually.
video games specifically. So, I mean, it goes from anything from like your Final Fantasies to your Minecrafts, your Terrarias, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So video games where you inhabit a character.
I'm sorry.
that
Video James.
No,
Video
it's
games?
games with a hard G. I know it gets confusing. People say it's like GIF and GIF, but no, it is like, Pac-Man? Yeah, that, but then you are Pac-Man. Think about it.
I love it when he eats the joasts.
Sorry, the hosts, please. Thank you.
The
hosts,
Josts.
yes, please.
Yeah.
So my podcast concept is inhabiting the characters within this role-playing game and then sort of midnight gospeling, that's a terrible way to say it, but working our way through whatever objective we are while also hosting a podcast in-game.
So one of us is the Dovahkiin.
I mean, no, not necessarily. That's the thing. It could be all three of us are
We're
trying to record
we're
a
all the
podcast.
Dovahkiin.
I mean, sure, why not?
Hey,
Tyler, hey Tyler, what does that mean?
oh, Olivia hasn't played Skyrim. I thought that would be a pretty universal.
I also
reference.
haven't played Skyrim, so-
did you get the Dovahkiin reference?
I got the
at
Dovahkiin
least?
reference because
Okay,
I was
cool.
online during the 2010s. Yes.
Dovahkiin.
But yes, so essentially, and I don't want it to be about the game itself, right? That's the antithesis of what this is. We are inhabiting the characters in this role-playing game, right? So like, even as far as if you wanted to do, I don't think it would work for this format specifically with us 3 people, but if you wanted to do a Hades, for instance, you could. And you wouldn't talk about what you are doing, but rather you would host a podcast, but then interact with the game itself.
Okay.
Interesting. Now,
So this could be a short form sort of like one-off thing where we do a game a season, or you could also take it and run with it where every episode's a different, game.
O'Neill,
and
I got to
experience
be
and all that
completely
sort of
honest with you. I'm not sure I'm 100% following this one.
thing. Okay.
So,
Yeah,
so
me
let
neither.
Let me ask.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think I'm getting there.
Poke and prod.
So say, for example, we're doing the
Uh-huh.
Hades one. This one, Olivia, Hades. You don't really play video
I
games.
Let's
don't
do.
love
I think a great
Yes.
unifier would just be Minecraft. That would be like the easiest one to get everybody on board with. So let me use Minecraft as an example. Minecraft, you are, say you are going out to, say you're just looking for diamonds, right? That's what this episode is. It's like, we're looking for diamonds. But then the 3 of our characters would have a conversation about life, about, working as an adult, what that means. Like taking that Midnight Gospel flavor of like discussing these bigger ideas, but framing it within Minecraft. And then if one of us gets killed by his creeper, well, that's life, baby.
I'm okay. I finally sort of
Okay.
grokked the concept of this. And for people still not following,
Uh-huh.
this is a podcast in which you heavily discuss like we're getting dangerously close to philosophy. You're discussing life and philosophy while you're also the Dovahkiin.
Right, sure, yes. You were also
Olivia. It's from a
Dovahkiin.
video game called Skyrim.
I know Skyrim. I know of Skyrim. I just don't. I've never
the main
heard
character
of
of Skyrim
Dovahkiin.
is called the Dovahkiin. He's the
Oh, okay.
But yes, that is the essential framework of this podcast. I think, and the one I actually really want to do this with, and I think I successfully veiled it this far, but I'm gonna go ahead and put my cards on the table. I would love to do this in Terraria.
See, I don't know if I've played enough of the game to understand it. Could
But
I
that's the
Is
thing.
this
That's
a-
not the point
a
of the
visual
podcast.
bit? Is this like a sound design? Like
Yes,
like,
so
how
it
are
would
we,
have
like-
that. That's the other aspect of it, right? It would be inhabiting the world of the game. So from a production standpoint, we would take the sounds of the video game and sort of like put it into the minds of the creator, as though we were in the world recording a podcast. That's sort of where I'm going.
Okay.
With. And then interactions we have, would also be equivocal. So it would be that. And then every episode, if we were to like stretch it out long form style, would be like, oh, this episode we go to, this boss area. And we don't even fight the boss necessarily. But on the way, the journey aspect of it is us discussing and talking about different topics. And that's sort of like where I sort of left that is like, do we want to script it like a Midnight Gospel where it has a theme within the actual adventure of it? But that's where I'm sort of at is like, what game would be best for something like this that would have the most balance interactions via actual podcast? And then the other side of it would be like, what would be a good format and following.
I do have a pitch for the game.
Okay.
And I think it should be Pokemon.
Interesting. See, that would be a good one. I think Pokemon could be a fun one.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Listen, you're walking around, you're discussing the ethics of Pokemon, in the universe while recording a podcast and discussing the concept of putting a Geodude in a ball. That guy, hey, Geodude's got arms and legs.
He's got arms and legs. I mean, let's extrapolate it further. Mr. Mime, he has an honorific.
just an odd man. Yeah.
It seems like it's mostly guy at that point. So like
Okay, here's the thing that I've never understood about Mr. Mime. Is that obviously they obviously say their name. That's the one thing they can say. That's what they know. Do you think they evolved before mankind to put the Mr. in Mr. Mime? Or do you think they were
That's
like
an interesting point,
selectively
Olivia.
bred
That is a very interesting point. I mean, it gets
post-humanity?
That does get very
add
strange.
Mr. to
Yeah.
Mr. Mime.
Mr. Mime is
the
powerful,
Mr.
and I
part of
love
Mr. Mime.
that.
So did we take Mr. from Mr. Mime? Is that because I mean, obviously
Or
that's
did
the only
we
way.
give
it's
it
up
to
there.
him?
That's definitely not.
Or
look,
did they
write it?
did-
Write it down. Write it down. I think this is a great idea.
Yes, okay. So that's essentially my concept. Now, I'm still not necessarily sure structure and form-wise, because if we were to do this long form, it would layer upon itself where we were achieving things in-game as well as talking about these various philosophical things. And that's the thing. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be philosophical. I'm not 100% sure like what. The reason I say philosophical is because the Midnight Gospel was pretty philosophical. But also the hook on that, which may make me pivot slightly, was like he was going into new worlds, right? Every episode was a new world that he was exploring. So maybe that's what we sort of latch onto is like we're in this new world. What can we eke out about, I don't know, the human condition? In each of these games. Another
I like
possibility.
this. I like this a lot.
Yeah.
I'm on board with this 100%.
Here's my hang up. You gotta think of a good log line. You gotta think of a good log line because this is a hard pitch. This is a hard.
It's a hard
sell.
pitch. It's a hard pitch. I'm not.
But
I'm
also,
not gonna
Midnight
lie.
Gospel was very successful, and that show is a hard pitch.
I mean, yeah, that's the other thing, right? It comes
So.
from a hard pitch, so it is naturally going to be a hard pitch. But I think ultimately it would be a podcast set within a role playing game. I think that's the easiest way to sort of frame it. And insofar as it is a podcast first, secondarily set in a role playing game. And I think that's just sort of the overall sort of theme. Now, what are we thinking for titles?
Midnight Podspool.
Midnight Gospel 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Midnight Podspool?
Podspool? I think we need to stay away from the Midnight Gospel thing, otherwise
Yeah.
we get sued.
Yeah, stepping on
trying to think,
stepping on
like,
some shoes.
Role playing RPG role podcast game. No, that's nothing.
Run podcasts. God.
Run podcast God. Ooh. Honestly, run podcast. Okay, let's fix the R, but podcast God, I don't necessarily hate.
Real podcast.
Real podcast
Real
God.
podcast God.
It does have Sephiroth energy.
Quick.
which is what I love.
O'Neal, check Twitter is at Real Podcast God.
Oh yeah, let me check that real quick. Yeah, you're right, because that might be under Twitter. Twitter.com/Real Podcast God. It does not exist. You got it.
Take it. Quick it.
Yeah.
God bless. Well, you can follow us on at Triple PCast or at Real Podcast God. God bless America.
Oh no.
At Real Podcast. All right, what do we want to call this fucking show?
Very funny.
It's pretty fucking good. Pretty fucking good. God bless.
Okay.
Something else we might need to focus in on to like sort of eke out a name would be, what are we trying to accomplish with the podcast?
I don't know why Thoughts from the Field is
I don't
that
hate
just came
that,
up with.
because a lot
Yeah.
of RPG is just like being out in a field.
Hear me out on this one. What are we doing with this podcast? And I think we need to get across that there isn't necessarily a point to this podcast other than it's just like a very laid back, chill podcast where we are talking about the ethical ramifications of annihilating all the
Pokemon.
dragons.
But
But how does this dragon stuff impact the Imperial versus the Stormcloaks war? You know
Tyler,
what I
but
mean?
here's the thing. I actually want even one more degree of separation, which is like we're just talking about like life, not even the goals of the game. You know what I'm saying? Like life.
So
with-
we're just we're like
day-to-day,
just removed
like
from
let's
it.
take Who the Wick is that,
Yeah.
right? The levels of discretion we had with that, and then apply that within the game itself.
Okay.
You know?
Listen, I'm talking about Kant and what we owe each
Boise.
other.
Woo,
And also, do I
asshole
owe
versus
this
philosophy
realm?
alarm. Woo, woo.
Oh no, I hear that Magolin alarm coming off.
And do I owe this realm my Dovahkiin shouts?
I do think
No, but I'm. But
yes.
I was pitching a name. You know, it's a travel podcast. It's just like enjoying the landscape
much.
of
Yeah.
life. You know what my least favorite thing in RPGs is? Riding on a horse.
Oh, that's my
It's just getting
favorite
from
part of
place
the
to place,
game.
and you're looking
That's
at
my
you're
favorite
riding
part
around
of
on
the
the you're riding
game.
around on the horse, and you're looking at the landscape, and I'm like, wow, I could be doing something fun right now. But you're just getting from place to place. It's not the actual core gameplay.
Yes.
The riding on the horse.
Okay.
So could we call this podcast the Landscape Horse?
The landscape horse.
Can we call it the
And
Four
it's-
Seasons landscape?
And it's as obtuse and sort of hard to gather what the name means as the podcast itself.
Landscape horse.
I was liking where you were going with this, though, as far as like it is life, but it's not real life. Is there something there where it's like Tamagotchi?
Meta horse.
Tamagotchi landscape.
Where it's like-
Tamagotchi landscape horse.
Because that's really what this vehicle is, right? This is what it would be. It would be taking the not real life aspects of these video games and then ultimately extrapolating them so far out that they apply to our real lives. So like that line between virtual reality and our reality, like the barrier, something there. That's what I'm. Maybe the barrier.
Virtual horse.
virtual.
horse.
I don't. Virtual. Wait, hold on. I've got it. Got
Okay.
it. Virgil Horse. And that's the
Virgil
name
Horse?
of the main podcaster person is Virgil Horse, and it's the Virgil Horse podcast. And then that is that degree of separation that I've been trying to
Virgil
reach
Horse,
for, right?
okay.
It has that line. It's like, do you mean virtual? No, my name is Virgil Horse. I don't know why you keep on,
Horse.
right? That is the level of
This is
degrees
the
of
most
separation that I
out there
want to reach.
podcast I've ever heard. And before we move on, and I really love this idea, but before we move on, I am now my father.
Okay,
Pitch me this podcast.
Okay.
So Jeff,
Mr.
thank you for
Carcara,
coming.
Thank you so much again for the
anytime.
Wahlburgers. It was a great meal. So did you watch Midnight Gospel? No, you didn't.
No, what's that?
No, it's fine. Okay. So this is a podcast where we discuss sort of the philosophical points of life. You understand that, right, Mr. Jeff?
Of course.
Yeah.
I love
very
talking about.
deeply philosophical man.
I'm
You
a
are.
deeply philosophical man.
Yeah. So this is that, but also in a video game, and the main person who will be talking is named Virgil Horse.
So we're gonna have a conversation about something important. We're gonna have something about life, death, taxes, that sort of thing.
Sure, yeah.
But in the background,
Libertarianism-
there's
I don't
gonna
know,
be
my
the
dad's not a
sounds.
libertarian, I don't know why I said
There's gonna be like the sounds of a video game, and
one of us might
one
die.
of us might die.
Yeah, and so like that's just facts of life.
So it's a video game sounding like podcast.
So it's like Pac-Man mixed with assholes versus philosophy. You guys are a little mean. to my
Yes, you
son
nailed
about
it.
that one.
Yes.
Well, Jeff, it was a pretty terrible idea, but this one's like
It
that,
was
but
an
better.
awful idea. It was an awful idea. I hit him when he came home for the holidays. After
Oh, good. Because I was gonna do that, but I'm glad you.
yeah, he deserved it.
Yeah.
He deserved it.
I mean, the next time we see each other is his wedding, so that's probably when we would have had to do it. So.
Oh, God bless. All right. Well, that was the Virgil Horse
Virgil
podcast.
Horse podcast.
Virgil Horse.
The Virgil Horse podcast. All right, let's get this wheel up, huh?
Real podcast.
At Real Podcast God.
Real podcast. That would probably be the R.
We have to
the
steal that Twitter. We have
Oh,
to steal
100%. Right as soon as this is over, I've nabbing that boy.
Yeah.
All right, and spin the wheel to see who's going next.
Who do you think it's gonna? Oh, I think it's gonna be.
It's gonna be you.
It's Tyler J.
Can I share my screen real fast? I have like a 2-second thing.
Don't do drugs. If you're doing it, stop it. Get some help.
That's the great Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Telling you to
Stop
stop it and get
Get
some
some
help.
help.
And this is
Yeah.
the Stop It, Get Some Help podcast.
Oh,
And every week, the three of us are going to bring something that we dislike, big or small. And we just tell
interesting.
that person, place, or thing.
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay, interesting. All
Okay.
right, I got some qualms. Sure, yeah. What do you have for us?
You know, I briefly discussed it, but video games. Walking in between video games.
okay.
You're walking between places and nothing happens. And there's just like half-witty banter going on between you and your party. God of War Ragnarok does this
Yeah,
one
quite a bit.
a lot. Hey, video game developers,
Stop it.
Get some help.
Get some help.
Okay, interesting.
All right.
So
Make
like,
a wittier,
okay.
better paced show. And this is just a show for us to sort of air our grievances and
Okay,
tell the
interesting.
world. This is to sort of assert our
you know what I like about this? This has above your podcast energy, which we haven't circled back around for in a while. But
It's
like,
been a while.
these are our qualms. These are our grievances. But I think the only thing that would make sense is like if we offered at least a little bit of suggestion about like
Of course, I would never
Yeah.
go in and be like, "This is nothing." But another big one, as long as we're talking about pacing and storytelling. Hey, Hollywood directors, come here.
Come here. Sit down. Yeah, Tarantino, sit down.
Jimmy Cameron, just
Jim,
don't take a seat
Jim,
right there.
Quentin.
Jimmy.
Jan, Quentin, yeah, please take a seat. Ryan,
JJ,
just, I know you're busy. Just listen from the hallway. Yeah,
You guys think you're better than everyone else? Hey,
Oh, they're all nodding their
they're all
heads.
yeah. Quentin Tarantino just spat.
I thought we had this nailed down. A movie is between an hour and a half and 2 hours and 15 minutes. Anything longer than that is a Broadway play. It's a Broadway show. That's what you're making. Hey, Quentin, what if I told you you're actually making Broadway
Productions. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Hey, movies are no longer allowed to go past 2.5 hours unless it's the last of an Avengers
Yes.
like line of Avengers movie.
Oh, Martin Scorsese just shot himself.
Oh boy.
Hey, Martin.
Stop it. Get some help.
He's weeping. He's
Okay.
weeping. He's shaking his head.
Oh.
He's like, no, not Mr. Marvel. No.
Listen, hey, Hollywood directors have become way too empowered, and now we're just sort of starting to do the podcast.
Yeah, true. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think you could see how this is the biggest perks of this one are how producible
Yes. how errant we could get it. Yes, exactly.
How errant and producible
All right.
these podcasts could get. And we could do some role playing if you wanted to take on the role of a
we can have some
Tarantino.
Actually, we
I
could
like
get
that
some special
idea.
guests.
I got it. Each of us brings a special guest.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I'm
who
in for
we
it.
are having an intervention for.
Okay.
And it could be a group of people. But
Yeah.
each of us brings a special guest that this is like the intervention podcast. Do you guys have anything off the top of your head? Anybody that you'd like
mine's
to have
are
an
mostly
intervention with?
sad. You know what? All drivers in Beverly Hills. Come here. Yep, come here. Take a seat. Yep, I know. File in.
I'm
I
in
know
the
it's gonna be a
middle
little
of
cramped.
getting my...
No,
Right.
it's fine. We cleared your schedule. We talked to your assistant.
I don't
We
know
cleared
what
your
they do
schedule.
at
Yeah,
Beverly
no, 100%. You have the
I'm
time
a
for this.
busy businessman. I'm a
Yeah,
business
no, shit
producer man.
the fuck down. Okay? That's because that's what you need to do right now. all right?
Yeah. Go
Glue
ahead.
yourself to your seat. Yeah. Hey, use turn signals. Guys, turn signals, they're important. They
That's
indicate
a good
which way
one.
you're
I
going
like
to
that
go
one.
so that way I don't run into you. Okay?
Oh, yeah, no, Boston drivers, you can come
Oh, yeah,
in too.
Boston
No,
drivers,
this
come here,
one's for
come
you
on in,
too.
come on in. Yeah,
no,
sorry,
come on
sorry, I
in,
didn't mean to
come
do
on.
this, guys.
You
We're gonna
know,
do
while
individually,
we're
but
here,
not
they don't need it as much. But Chicago drivers, just while we're here.
Just
Chicago drivers,
listen
could
from
you
the
come in here
hallway.
real
All
fast?
right, you'll maybe catch something you might need. All right.
The turn signal is near your steering
So you know how
wheel.
sometimes your
All right?
windshield wiper sort of goes like a little bit dark because you're clearing off the water from your windshield. So the other side of that one, whenever you hear like that weird clicking sound from your car, I promise there's nothing wrong with your car. There's nothing wrong with your car. Just the turn signal.
Yeah, you get honked at a lot, right? You get honked at a lot, right?
You don't like
Yeah,
that.
you
It
look at the
scares you,
dashboard,
right?
You
There's
don't
a
want
nice
that. It's
little light
scary.
for
It's
you to
spooky,
look
scary,
at.
and then you're putting up middle fingers and you're road raging, and it's bad. What if I told you there's a little switch behind your steering wheel that could
little
keep you from getting
That
honked
could
at?
solve all of your problems.
Okay, I think I know we did
Yeah.
a miniature version of this podcast just now.
Exactly.
But I think
But you
I
see,
can see
this,
the merits
this is
of
a
this.
producible.
Yeah,
podcast.
easy to make.
Yes.
Stop and get some help. Okay, so I'm trying to think if we can heighten this. Obviously, I think it's a special guest. I think the special guest.
I think the special guest
will
makes
definitely
it, for
bring
sure.
a sort of heightened energy. Now, Tyler, are you thinking like 3 an episode if we're doing like a full length episode?
I'm thinking like 3 an episode. Like each
Okay.
of us brings a
brings
bring
one
a special
and
guest
brings our
on.
special guests along. Yeah, 100%. Okay, yeah. And is the name of this podcast Stop, Get Some Help?
I'm open to suggestions. I do like that the whole concept came from the meme.
I'm trying to think.
Michael Jordan says, "Stop it, get some help."
Michael Jordan presents
Stop It podcast.
I would
Ernest
be down for
presents.
that, honestly. That's a pretty good name. I don't hate it. And hey, if we get sued, we could say it's the other Michael Jordan.
Listen, I just wanted to be like Mike. Okay.
Another property we can get sued for. No, I love it. I think this is great. I'm 100% here for it. Stop it. Get some help.
Presented by Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan presents. Stop
Michael
it.
Jordan. Michael Jordan Productions.
No, because
name-
then we could actually get sued.
I don't think he has. Is there a company called?
Yes,
Michael
he has
Jordan
his own production
Productions?
company.
Yeah, but is that what it's
Okay.
called?
It doesn't matter.
What if I'm
Michael?
another guy
And
named
besides, I
Michael
think it's fine.
Jordan?
Michael Jordan presents. Stop it. Get some help. And with that, Liver, you're up.
Okay. Theorizing that one could time travel within his own lifetime, Dr. Sam Beckett
You motherfucker! You motherfucker! You
He wants to
motherfucker!
find himself trapped in the past. Pieces of
Bastard!
that were not his own, driven by an unknown force to
bastard!
change history for the better. This is the Quantum Leap Fancast.
Oh, fan cast. Interesting. Okay. All right. Let's discuss.
We're gonna ruin my favorite show. Is the premise of this?
Okay. Let's just do a quick check-in. Who's watched more than one episode of Quantum Leap?
I've watched 3 episodes of Quantum Leap.
Aren't you a lucky boy?
So
I've only watched one episode.
The most recent one I saw was on TV at my grandmother's house.
Okay.
That's
All
one-
right.
And
We're
it was
normally
one where
watch Quantum Leap.
Dr. Sam Beckett flashed back into sort of a Texas, a West Texas
This is interesting.
man, real stereotype.
This
of a
might be.
man
Hey,
whose
audience.
girlfriend
Tyler's gonna keep
steals
on
a
going.
baby.
Tyler's gonna keep on going.
Oh my God, Baby, that's a really good episode. Yes.
This might be audio porn.
Yeah, he plays a bouncer. He jumps into a bouncer who's in love with a stripper, and they're kidnapping a baby.
Whoa, that's a wild plot. Okay, so what is this podcast, Olivia? Before I get into why I jumped up and screamed and
one
was
of the
angry.
things. So you would expect a fan cast, like, great, we watch the episodes, we talk about it.
Yeah.
No,
No.
we're not going to do
No,
that.
there's plenty of those.
We're going to watch the episodes that are problematic.
Okay, interesting.
Oh, so this is like, can I pitch you that maybe sort of spinning this sort of fan cast, problematic fan cast idea into something a bit larger? Could I pitch you on, maybe we start with Quantum Leap, like it's a 3-part series on Quantum Leap.
Oh, yeah.
But could it be a podcast examining 90s television content
That hasn't aged
that
well.
hasn't aged well?
I like that.
This is getting a little into only 90s kids rewind. A little bit. Just a little bit, if we extrapolate it that far.
Wait,
Because of the 90s.
Because of the 90s stuff.
And it's media from the 90s.
The 90s media
No, I mean,
recap,
it doesn't
sort of.
have to be 90s. We could do a MASH.
Can I-
We could do a Hogan's Heroes.
MASH, I was going to say, too. MASH, Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap was technically also the 80s.
Yeah, 80s, 90s. Okay, can I give you my spin-off real quick? Because I actually have a
Yeah.
Quantum Leap podcast concept as well, which is why I got up
Shut
and,
the
and
fuck
yelled.
up.
Yeah, which
Shut-
is why
that
I
why-
was like, yeah.
That's why you were so
I was
mad.
very angry. But I think we could meld and maybe workshop them together. My concept was we, as podcasters, quantum leap every episode into a new sort of situation, Hello from the Magic Tavern style, where every episode we are, exploring a new quantum leap thing. And by the end of the podcast, we have to
Solve a problem. And
we have
leave.
to solve the problem by the end of the pod with our podcasting powers.
Okay.
So
Yes.
that's
I can
another
also see that being
possibility if that is something you would like to explore. Otherwise, I'll repitch that some other time.
Listen, I want to hone in on the whole fan cast thing because
Okay.
I'm sure there's already a Quantum Leap fan cast out there.
Yes, there are a lot of them.
Exactly.
I'm sure there is.
So how are we? I think there's a way that we can take this that sort of elevates the genre of fan cast.
Interesting.
Like there are a lot of action movies. Not all of them elevate the genre.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying.
So that's what I'm thinking. What is the Mad Max Fury Road of Quantum
of
Leap
a fan
casts?
A fan cast is essentially a tool in which to air criticism of a show while also sort of garnering an audience around it, right? That's like the main
There's only
crux
2
of it.
Quantum Leap podcasts.
Oh, good. Okay.
Join Jerry and Ian for an affectionate retrospective look at every episode of the 90s sci-fi classic Quantum Leap. That's not what we're doing.
No, but I would.
We're picking out the nasty ones.
Yeah, I don't.
This is
I
a
don't know.
nasty podcast for you nasty. Quantum Leapers.
Just the problematic episodes. I don't know.
We don't have to do the problematic episodes.
I don't know if
But
I'm
that's-
hooked by
I
that.
think there's. I want to hone in on that though. I want to hone in on that where there's a way to take this take a fan cast and make it something greater than just a fan cast, right? And I think we just need to figure out what that is.
If O'Neill was running on 100%, he would definitely be able to pull something out of his ass right now. But he's also only seen one episode of Quantum Leap.
I've got
What do you got, Tyler?
This is a podcast in a very similar way to O'Neill's. This is a podcast in which we are the characters who just experienced Sam Beckett jumping into their
Jumping through us? Okay, interesting.
We are the ones who are leapt into.
So it's like a leap, a leaper's.
It's called the waiting room. Is where they.
Oh,
is where
true.
they stay.
We are in the waiting room. So we are
This
3
is a
characters.
podcast from the waiting room. One of us is playing the
Al.
yes.
Yes,
One
okay.
of us is
Yeah.
playing the person who got leapt into,
Okay.
and then who's in there.
Who's a third one? We need a third. We need a third.
Olivia. I
Okay,
don't know
the other rules. Gushy is one of the other techs. You heard me, Gushy. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna play Gushy. I have no concept for who Gushy is, so I think I'll only have it Gushy and just sort of like make my
there's
own.
There's Tina, and there's also Ziggy, who is the AI.
Yeah, I remember Ziggy.
My pitch is more along the lines of
A podcast from the waiting room. This is Al's podcast. Because Al's bored. Al's bored out of his fucking mind. He's like, Sam Beckett's out here fucking Quantum Leaping every other goddamn day. I want something for me. So Al's like, I'm going to start this podcast with all these motherfuckers who are jumping.
That's my pitch, because here's the thing. It's a time travel thing. Who's to say he's not simultaneously quantum leaping into multiple people at the same time?
Oh, is that what? Okay.
Who's to say? I don't know, unless the show does. I haven't seen
I mean, the show might say.
He leaps into one person.
Yeah, I would assume.
Listen, but it's in different timelines. So hypothetically, he is leapt into different people at the same time throughout
time
history.
zone. I see what you're saying.
So my pitch is that you got to find two from the same era. And they're both in the waiting room.
Tyler, can I take I know we're fucking scatmanning on this, but can I just take this concept and just knock it up one?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead.
You have whoever's being leapt in. You have Al. And then you got the doctor over there. That's right. We're bringing Doctor Who into it. Might as well, right? If we're going to fuck around with time travel, why not bring the good old doctor into it?
Interesting. I don't... Who's going to be doing the British accent? Because I guarantee it won't be me again.
We'll have to see, wouldn't we? That's a potential concept. Third host idea.
Potential.
But unless Olivia, you are feeling strongly about a fan cast.
I'm trying to tie it back into sort of a fan cast sort of thing, where each episode is an episode of the show, but while the episode of the show's happening, they're recording a podcast.
The meta is very strong.
So two parts. One is us talking about the episode, and the other half is like in media res, as the episode is sort of like the characters from the episode are the ones who are in the waiting room. Is that what we're talking about, basically?
Interesting. I feel like the meta would get messy there. We would have to iron out the meta really strong. Because essentially, if we're doing that, are we saying that this is... Are we picking up Al's podcast feed as a part of our program? I feel like that's more of a segment than on this fan cast.
No. I don't think it's a program. I think it's like one of those things where like it kind of is like a hidden world, I guess.
Okay.
While you have like kind of two podcasts happening simultaneously.
So like to go back to it, Hello from the Magic Tavern, where there is like the world of the tavern, but there's also that weird future. I don't know if you guys either listen to Hello from that. Okay. There's like the fantasy world, and then there is the actual person who is picking up this broadcast is like this future AI thing, like this, this dimension hopping.
Similar,
but I don't think the two podcasts like interact with each other.
Okay, I could see it.
It's something's here. I
could see it. Yeah, it just definitely needs to be hammered out a bit. I think if we want to do this.
See, I haven't watched the show.
I haven't watched the show either, so I don't have.
All right, that I concede that it was either going to be that or Bluey. So you know what? It's fine. Yeah. So I understand if we don't want to do this one, we can just write. You know what? I would use a McGullen this week, but I don't have a second idea.
Oh, boy.
Now, here's a concept for you.
Uh-huh.
Can you use your McGullen to let someone else pitch a second?
Someone else do a pitch.
Because I do have a second pitch that I was debating.
Yeah, I
this
also.
week.
Well,
That's
or we could do
good.
my other Quantum Leap pitch, that Quantum Leap related pitch. But either way.
Now, just know, this is a January podcast, Olivia.
This is January 1.
All
McGullen's
McGullen
I'm gonna
until
sit in this
July.
stinker,
okay.
for a little bit, but I'm safe and confident in the fact that it will not be picked.
Okay.
And then I never have to think about it again.
Interesting. Well, you do have to think about it a little bit because we do have to come up with at least a title for this little stinker.
Okay.
This podcast, the waiting room.
The waiting room?
I think the waiting room
easy,
is good.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So just to...
See, here's the thing. You keep calling it a stinker. I think this is a very good idea. It just needs
to be ironed out.
punch up. It just needs
a little bit
ironing
more
and
development.
A punch up and a little more development.
Yeah.
I think if we started, we've gone on quite a long time coming up with this concept, but I think if we started with the concept of it's the podcast from the waiting room with the guy who got jumped into as the starting point.
Starting there.
I think we could make something quite good out of that. I do actually like that.
There is one part where he does leap into Lee Harvey Oswald, so that is
we could have an episode with Lee Harvey Oswald. Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yes.
Any other famous people he jumps into?
Dr. Ruth.
Yep.
Accents.
He leaps into Elvis.
Yeah, I forgot about
He leaps into Marilyn Monroe's bodyguard. He does leap into a murderer.
Yes.
Once or twice. Yeah. So he just I'm trying to think of anybody else famous. He meets young Buddy Holly, young Michael Jackson.
He meets a lot of
and
youngs and then
a young
inspires
Stephen
them,
King.
sort of.
So yeah.
He's really the Marty McFly, the you know that
Yeah.
Marty
idea of a
McFly
loser
That whole
looking
bit,
for-
yes.
your Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's really
Yes.
Forrest Gumping his way through the
Yeah,
timeline.
truly.
Yeah.
Now, could we do a podcast with
Forrest
Sam Beckett and Forrest Gump?
Gump. Okay, all right.
Okay. Can we please go to the wrap?
Can we
wrap
please
up
go
to
to
recap?
deliberation, Jenny?
Well, first we have to do a quick recap.
I would like to do a recap.
Mine is the Virgil Horse Podcast, an exploration of the human condition through role-playing games.
Podcast is like a box of chocolates.
Gotta write down a note.
Quick, anyone else got any other Forrest Gump lines?
Run, podcast, run!
They was my podcasting shoes. They made me podcast real good.
All right, great stuff. I pitched Michael Jordan presents
Stop it.
Get some help.
Get some help.
A podcast where we each bring a special guest and have a sort of small intervention for someone going through something or doing something real dumb.
Yeah.
And The Waiting Room is a podcast which examines the temporary space in which the folks who Dr. Sam Beckett leaps into and their conversations with Al Calvici.
And Ziggy, the AI, possibly.
And Ziggy, the AI.
And now it's time for deliberation. So we have 3 podcasts.
Olivia, here's something real quick that I want to discuss with yours. I think, we kept talking about getting a third person in the waiting room. Last week, we introduced a concept that it doesn't necessarily have to be all 3 of us on at the same time.
Yeah.
It could be that one of us is Al and one of us is the person and is just a 2-person podcast. That is a possibility.
True. It
that
could
we've
be.
introduced.
For this show specifically, I think it would be.
Hang on? Could I pitch something?
Uh-huh.
The third person is just O'Neill, who Al has hired to run to
bring
produce
on
the
the
podcast.
Now, what's the fiction there? Because I am enjoying this. Is this our opening? Is this O'Neill Prime? Is this where O'Neill Prime came from?
It loops in.
Is this
It
a
all loops
full
in.
loop around? Okay, all right. Okay.
I think I found it.
Yes.
And the podcast doesn't have to be like a podcast.
No,
it
it's-
doesn't have to be like we're making a podcast to produce. It could be genuinely they're doing a scientific study.
That's a good one, and they're
They're
just
trying to
doing
crack the
research
information
on
that Al
people.
tries to get every episode for
Yeah.
Sam Beckett.
Yep.
It's very good.
Yes.
Interesting.
This is
Okay,
very
I've come
good,
around.
and I
I've
think
come
we
around
found
on
it. I'm coming around
Yeah,
on this
I've
show.
come around on it for sure.
Coming around on the show. Now, the Virgil Horse Podcast.
The Virgil Horse Podcast. Here's my thing on the Virgil Horse Podcast. While it could be a bit depth, I think if we're going to do a visual version of it, which is to say, if we were to actually do the Minecraft one, I think it would be best to have a visual element of it, and nobody wants to watch an hour-long visual podcast in Minecraft. If it were a B segment, however, I do think we can make it fairly producible and special.
I agree.
So that's my only pitch for the Virgil Horse Podcast. Not to say that it should be the B segment, but I don't know if it necessarily has bit depth as many bit depth.
I agree.
legs.
I don't. Here's my thing. I don't think I could talk about philosophy and life for an hour off.
Well, that would be my other side of this. Is I think it should be scripted to a certain point, much like Midnight Gospel is scripted. I mean, it doesn't feel scripted, and I don't think we should make it scripted. And I think there'll be
it has an
room for
improvisational tone,
yes,
but it
exactly.
is scripted.
Exactly, and so I think that's what it would ultimately be. Would be like a scripted programming thing that has improvisational elements via the game. Yeah.
Sure. Now, on the other end of the spectrum of easy to produce, and hard to
yes.
produce, we have Michael Jordan. Presents
Michael Jordan,
Stop It, Get Some Help.
Stop It, Get Some Help.
yes.
I like it. I just wonder if it's too soapboxy. Really, that's really my only actual problem with it as a podcast in and of itself, which is we've created some interesting higher falutin productions, and we will, especially with My Strange Prediction coming up.
So excited.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
I don't know if it does enough for the form of podcasting.
You're right. I'm not elevating the medium.
Yeah, that's my only thing. But I do think
It's
it
a
could
real
be fun.
base hit.
It's a bunt.
Single.
It's a nice bunt, but it gets people on the plate. You know, that's my thing with it. I don't. Is there a way to elevate it to make it a little bit?
That's
more?
a good point.
I mean, obviously bringing in the guests. I think that's what
definitely
elevates
does
it
part
for
of
sure.
it.
Yeah.
If it was just us yelling
Into
Tarantino,
the void, true.
but if Quentin Tarantino
was there, okay, interesting. I can see this happening. Okay, where is everybody sort of feeling and landing currently?
I'm in between mine and yours, O'Neill. I'm open unless anyone had a strong opinion. Could I pitch you on this? Do we have the energy to produce the Virgil Horse podcast?
I mean, it wouldn't be hard necessarily. I don't think.
What game would we be doing?
I think Minecraft or Terraria would be the two easiest ones to do. One, to get people into it, and two,
played Terraria enough to fully live in that world.
It's fine. You don't need to. That's where the improv comes from. That's my thing.
Then
you don't have
here's my thing. If it's in like a real basic game like that, where there's not like there's stuff in the game, but it's just mostly my thing is, then what would be the point of setting it in a video game? Why? I think you have to have
that's the Midnight
high
Gospel
concept setting of
I see
recognizable IP. Liver, do you have any strong opinions?
Yeah,
either way.
I also would 100% be down to do our fully fleshed out Sam Beckett O'Neill.
Yeah, the more we talked about it, the more it was growing on.
So like, I'm not necessarily discounting anything. I do think we should start narrowing down which one we want to do, but like I'm completely open to all three. I would be happy doing anything.
I think that Michael Jordan Presents is going to get very naggy after a while.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it either is like a B segment and like that's it, or like it after like we rag on movie directors, it's like, all right, who's next?
Yeah, it will.
Time to be
you know what it is?
Negative.
It just doesn't have enough like positive output ratio. I think
I'm all for that. I think it's a new year.
Yeah.
I think it's a new year. I think it's time to put some positivity. I was looking at it. It's a new year. It's time to make some resolutions for people.
For people. Okay.
But also not from. Maybe we need to look inward first before we start telling other people.
I don't know how much I agree about Virgil Horse being scripted.
Okay.
I think that we're three adults with intelligent opinions. We can talk about things for an hour. We can talk about a topic for an hour.
Yeah, I just wanted to have that specialness of
minutes,
for 20-ish minutes, exactly. Like we can talk about something and like not get like crazy too deep, but like
it could be a scenario of like we do the cold opens where we just kind of go for a while.
Yeah, and then cut something special out of it.
Stuff.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that happening.
Yeah, and then once, O'Neill, obviously you're the one editing these things. Like once you found like a story, I guess, like we can also like come in and like throw in extra.
Redo. Yeah, I can see that working. But I would be perfectly fine doing that if that's where we want to lead off to.
It's growing on me.
That's
even in the concept of being like, hey, podcast crew. What podcast did you make in this week? And we made the Virgil Horse.
The Virgil Horse podcast. And okay, that's the other thing.
Here's
the
something
fiction. I think the
fiction
could be much like Midnight Gospel, where he's going into these different worlds and stuff. Virgil Horse is this world traveler, this dimension hopper, where he goes into these different worlds and does a podcast.
This quantum leaper.
The quantum leap is time travel. If we're gonna get into it. This is more dimension. This is like like Everything Everywhere All at Once, sort of Doctor Strange dimension travel.
Okay.
But I think that would be a good sort of like baseline for all these.
Now, O'Neill.
Yeah,
obviously, I think you would be
it a
Virgil
lot.
Horse.
Oh, would I?
Yes.
Oh no. Okay, sure. Yeah,
you would absolutely be Virgil Horse.
Who is Virgil Horse?
Virgil Horse.
From?
What's his deal?
We might be getting a little bit into the writers' room.
I think this might be getting the writers' room, but I think we can narrow down who is Virgil Horse to something a little bit more important for the structure of the show. Why is Virgil Horse doing this? I think that's important to flesh out now.
would it be too much to steal the same motivation? Not necessarily the
I think
same
it
exact.
would be too much
Okay.
to say steal. I think
collecting
there's a little bit.
shoes.
There's
What
like
if
a
Virgil-
few toes being stepped on?
Virgil Horse is the gamer tag, and they are sort of trapped in this dimension hopping loop where every episode they do this thing and then they finish it and they get tossed into another dimension by the end of it.
Yeah, I don't think he needs a strong motivation other than like maybe he's been doing it for so long that he doesn't even know why he's doing it.
Why he's
anymore.
doing it,
He
other than
is
he's just
doing
getting
it.
good stories and he likes podcasting.
It's like the people of New York, but with podcasting and the Dovahkiin.
The Dovahkiin, yes, exactly. So maybe he
The
does go
people of
interview the
Skyrim.
Dovahkiin. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that's 100% sort of his deal. Is like he
Yeah.
is trapped in
like
this
that.
universe, a person who is trapped in this world, just trying to figure out how to get out, essentially. But that's every episode. So cool.
Okay.
So mine is either I think if, and I say this every week, if I was going to cast a vote, which I don't know why we don't just have a loose voting.
Well, because if we voted, it would be
There's not
there's
enough of
three of
you.
us. Yeah,
Yeah, there's not enough. Yeah, it's like the formal voting.
You know,
I think we can just,
no,
like,
so
collectively
I am
decide.
leaning towards Virgil Horse.
I am also leaning towards Virgil Horse.
cool. Now, here's my only thing. I did get the B segment the past 3 episodes. Is that okay?
Listen, we're not here to be fair.
That's fair. That's fair. We're just here
We're
to make the best
podcast possible.
Fair.
And apparently,
Apparently, I'm just bringing these goddamn bangers.
Well, no, you're bringing banger
B segments,
because I
sure,
feel like
yes.
3 weeks in
Banger
a row
Bs.
now, Olivia and I have brought very good bit depths
Yeah.
that we've kept in the can. Like as of right now, on our we have our little bit depth list.
Yeah.
I think we have 4 or 5 of them lined up. Like
Yeah.
here's all the ones.
I only
we're
have
gonna
the
do.
crumble.
Only one of them is
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
All of the other ones are me and
Yeah.
Olivia.
Yep.
So you
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
that,
I'm
that
perfectly
just,
fine.
Just shows that Olivia and I think, need to work on our witty little, making witty little 20-minute
bits.
segments.
The little
Just
bit.
gotta,
A little
just gotta
better.
elevate a little bit. Now, before we end this and go to the Virgil Horse podcast, do we want to elevate either of these ideas to a bit depth? Put them on our bit depth list.
I'm gonna go ahead and toss Michael Jordan's "Stop It, Get Some Help." Because
Michael
I think
Jordan
you guys are
presents-
right.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan presents.
Stop it. Get some help. McDonald's wants you to give yourself a chance to find out all the wonderful things you really can be. And so do I.
Stop it, get some help.
I don't know if old Quantum Leap has enough traction, so I'm
Well,
gonna
there's a
also
reboot,
recycle.
but the waiting room
idea.
could be fun. So maybe we put it as
Yeah.
a maybe on the bit depth. And if we can
Well,
figure out a
maybe.
way to
All
flesh
right,
that
we'll
out.
put
that'd
it.
be
We'll
more
put
fun.
it in the maybe bin.
All
All right.
And so with that, we'll be back to you, dear listener, with the Virgil Horse Podcast. Bye.